Hello. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all? Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everyone. Wake up. Okay, good. We have just 17 participants today. Do we wait for more people to join, or will not have more people joining in? Meghna, Mansa ma'am, do we wait or do we start? Okay, sure. So, how many of you have submitted your app already in the form that Meghna shared? Type in me in the chat box if you have already submitted. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Okay. Around 7 people. What about rest of you? Okay, few more. Those of you who just joined, have you submitted your app in the link that Meghna shared? Please submit it soon because we have to evaluate like how much you have done and then basis which we will plan our next activities. Okay, so let's get started. Today we are going to explore plugins and styling. Um, how many of you use Chrome as your browser? Type in +1 in the chat box. Yeah, good. Quite a few of you. Most of you, I would say. Okay, now how many of you use Chrome extensions on Chrome browser? Type in +2 in the chat box. Great. A lot of you, right? So can anybody explain what are Chrome extensions? What does that do? Why do we need Chrome extensions? In simple words, you don't have to explain me the what is it, technical terms. In simple words, if you had to explain it to, let's say, 8-year-old or 10-year-old, okay, what are Chrome extensions? What would you say? Come on. For customization, okay. Anybody else? Productivity. Small tools that add extra features to your Chrome browser, like blocking ads, saving passwords, or translating text. Great. Thank you, Siddharth. So that's precisely what it is, right? So you have a Chrome browser, which gives you some basic features, and Chrome extensions, like the name suggests, it extends the functionality of the browser, right? Likewise, we have something called Bubble plugins, which does exactly the same thing, right? It extends the functionality of our Bubble application. Okay. So it allows us to implement some additional features that was otherwise not possible within Bubble. Yeah. So are you all ready to explore plugins? Type in ready in the chat box. Great. I love this energy. Thank you everyone for being very active. I also heard that you people have not come to college today. You are attending from home. Is that right? Oh, great to see that you are so active while you are at home. Okay. Anyways, let's get started. I'll share my screen. Uh, can you all see my screen? Yes. Okay. Great. So we have explored the design section. We have explored the workflow section. We have understood the backend workflows during the last session. We did the data before, right? We will come to the settings at the end. Okay, settings and logs slightly towards the end. Today, what we are going to do is plugins and styles.
चैट बॉक्स इधर चैट बॉक्स है
Guys, please be on mute. Let me just disable. Just give me a minute. Screen tools. Okay, so let's go to plugins, right? And I don't know how many of you recall, but we had added one plugin called Air Alert long back, right? Which allowed us to show some alert boxes, right? So let me quickly go to a new page and call this as plugins. Right? And let's just make this as column, and we will add a group within, okay, just to make some formatting. I'm going to add a padding of 20, 20, 20, and 20. And let's expand this for the entire page. I'm going to add a button element and call this as show alert. Now Bubble has an alert box, which I'm not sure if we explored during the first this thing. But this alert box, let's say this is an alert, right? You can add any text and so on and so forth. You also have a few options here, like you can make it as an info, you can make it as success, or you can make it as warning, right? For each of the three styles, the background color and the text font color will change. Okay, let me go with success for now, which is green color. By default, this will not be shown. Okay, we can change the way it looks, and we can change all the formatting like we would do in the text box. Okay, and on this button click, we can go and have this show message in an alert box, right? So this is the box that we just created. We can add the fade in, hold, and fade out, which means fade in means it comes in, it shows the message box, right? Let me just make this 2000 so that you can clearly see what happens there. Let this be 2000 as well, and let this become 2000, right? I'll quickly show you how this looks like. Okay, UN and PW, believe, no, UNP maybe. Okay. So when I click on this one, Arabic. Okay. When I click on this one, the box will come, right? But you will have to play around to change how it looks and all of that. What this particular plugin does, Air Alert, is that you don't have to add an element on the page, right? I'll delete this. And what we can do is we can just search for air, okay? And we can use standard custom clear all. I generally use standard. Okay, we have success, warning, error, and information. Four types of messages are available, and you can add a header text, and this is the body text of your alert box, right? And let me just show this one first. I don't know why it is detecting as Arabic. Anyway, so I'll click on this one. You can see the box has come here, header text and body text. If you want to change where it is shown, like top right, top left, top center, bottom right, bottom left, bottom center, you can do that, right? When you make it as top center, the box will automatically come center of the screen. Yeah. So you don't have to play around with the design and all of that. That's already taken care by the plugin. Okay, this is a very simple plugin. Now, how do we add the plugin? We just go to the plugin section, click on add plugin, search for the plugin that you're looking at, right? In our case, we were looking for Air Alert, and this particular plugin has already been installed. If it's not installed, then you can click on install and it gets installed. Okay, clear so far, everyone? Are you with me? Okay, this is great. Okay, now let me remove the search and you can see all the plugins available in Bubbles Marketplace, right? And it will be arranged or sorted with regards to the number of installations that particular plugin has got. Okay. So API connector is a plugin which allows us to use APIs in our application. We will soon be exploring API connections. So we'll have to install this plugin. Okay. And this is the one which has maximum number of installations, right? So as we can see, this plugin has been installed in 12,80,678 applications so far, right? Likewise, Google Material Icons has been installed in 12,35,450 applications. Yeah. And most of these are built by Bubble itself. Okay. So this is built by Bubble. This is built by Bubble. This is by Bubble. Okay. We have something called Toolbox, which allows you to add some JavaScripts to your Bubble application and use those JavaScripts in actions and so on and so forth, right? And that is also widely popular. As you can see, this is 7,89,000 applications, right? Then we have chart element, we have progress bar, we have multi-select drop-down, we have Stripe, and so on and so forth. So all of this is by Bubble until here, okay, apart from this particular one, which was created by some developer. Right? We will explore a few of them. I want you to understand the concept of using plugins. You will have to explore more and more, right? And also, a lot of times, if you're thinking about some plugins or rather some functionality, and if Bubble does not allow that natively, okay, then please go and check for plugins. 90% of the chances are you will find a plugin for whatever you're looking for. Right? Let's say, for example, you want to integrate with Slack. So search for Slack and you'll get a few plugins which integrates with Slack, right? If you're talking about Razorpay, then we have Razorpay plugins, right? If Stripe is anyways completely integrating with Bubble, so we have a few Stripe plugins available as well, right? Likewise, name something that you would like to integrate. Let's see if we have plugins for that. Just some random platforms that you're looking for. Hello, 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 hello. People, you are very active until now. Come on. Active, sir. Yeah, so please type in. What do you want to integrate? Like just random things, whatever you use generally. Let's say Gmail, right? We have a lot of Gmail plugins available. Now, you might be wondering, why did this come? right? When we search for Gmail. And this is coming because the developer of these plugins has Gmail in their email ID, and that's why it is coming. Okay, nothing else. If we search for Gmail like this, nothing. Mail. Okay, anyways, so you can search for Gmail by RIT7. Yeah. So if you search for RIT7, okay, these are all the plugins that we have developed. But I'm not sure how many are there. But there are close to 30 odd plugins that we have developed. Yeah, showing 30 out of 30. Right. So you think of any functionality that you want, okay, go search in the plugin section, you might find it, okay, and then use it. Now let's quickly check a few plugins which are commonly used, okay. For example, chart elements. So I'll install this, and this allows us to create charts, right? Maps is already available over here. Map, I guess. Yeah, map. So this is integrating with Google Maps itself, right? So element is already available. You can use this. Okay. So we just installed a plugin, which is chart element. And once you install the plugin, the first thing you have to do is check for the plugin content. What does this plugin have? Right? In this particular case, we have just element, and element is nothing but the elements that we have seen here, right? It could be visual element, it could be container, it could be input forms, right? So I'll search for chart, and we have one visual element, which is line or bar chart. Once you add that particular element, okay, it asks you whether you want line, bar, radar, pie, or donut. Let's go with line. It'll ask you what is the type of data that you want to use, right? Let's go with user. Let's see how many users have registered on the portal over a period of time, right? The data source would be do a search for user, and we will need group by created date, type of grouping. So I'm grouping them because we want to get the count of number of users who have registered on a particular day. Okay. And that's why I want to group them. And the way I group it is I'll firstly search for the data type. Okay. We search for users, and then I will use group by. Okay. And it'll ask us what is the grouping that we want to do. And we want to group it by creation date. And like I mentioned before, when we are talking about date in Bubble, it's always date and time along with seconds, right? So when we are doing grouping, it can group at the, what I say, seconds level, which means it'll group two particular users only if they have registered at exactly the same time. Okay. We don't want that. We want it with day. If you use exact, then exactly the date, time, like seconds also should match. Okay. We will go with the day, which means any time in that particular day, if this has happened, it will be considered. Okay. Within the 24 hours window. So interval days, whether you want it every day, whether you want it once in 2 days, whether you want it in once in 3 days, and so on and so forth, you can put the internal days here. Interval days, sorry. Yeah, I'll make it as 1, which means it will show us every day. Starting date, when do you want to start this particular graph from? So I'll put this as current date and time. Okay. And then I will use a option called rounded down to, right? So what this does is it will round down to, if I use year, then it will take me to 1st of January 2025, this particular year, right? At 12 a.m. If I go to month, then it will take me to the 1st of this particular month, okay, at 12 a.m. If I go to week, then it will take me to the first day of this particular week, okay, and so on and so forth. So we will go with the year maybe, right? And I'll close this. So that is what we want here. And by default, it will skip the days where registration has not happened. If we don't want that, and if you want it to show blank for the days where registration has not happened, we can click on do not skip empty groups. Okay, I'll leave it. And then we can do a new aggregation. Basically, what we want is count. Count of the number of registrations that has happened on every single day. So we will use that. That is our data source. And value expression is current points creation date. Okay, label creation date. And then we can also format it as, let's say, custom. Sorry, I believe I'm moving a bit fast here. So I'll show you again. Okay, when we make it as creation date, okay, that is in terms of date. But what we want to be showing in the graph is text. So I'm going to use this formatted as option. Okay, and we can format the date in the way we want, right? Let's say, for example, I want it April 14, 2025. I'll use that and I'll leave it. Evaluates to a text. What does it want? Okay, label expression should go here. Value should be count. Sorry, this should be count. Okay, this is value. So we have to give the number, which is count, and this will be the date. Okay, and if we go to graph, nothing has come in because we have added privacy rules and I'm not logged in as any user. So let me go to admin. Log in as this particular user. And then you see the graph has come in, right? We had close to 84 registrations on 5th of March. I believe that's when we started the session, right? And a lot of you registered. We also had about 16 registrations on March 10th. We had 9 registrations on March 24th, and we had 11 registrations on March 28th. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow along? Okay, good. So now that is one plugin. Let's move on to the next one. Progress bar is also very useful, right? Let me install this. Now, the first thing that we do is we check what are the contents of the plugin. And even in this plugin, we have just one element, which is progress bar. Now, how progress bar works is we just add an element on the page, right? I'll just add some gaps between this element so it looks nicer. And this particular progress bar is expecting us to give some percentage number. So if I give this as 40, if I give the number as 40, then it will show us 40% over here. Okay. If I give it as 80, then obviously it will change to 80%. Okay. Now, how do we make this dynamic? Now, let's say I have a file uploader, right? And I'll upload the file onto this particular element. And I want to show how much percentage the file has got updated. So what I'll do is I'll use the file uploader A. Instead of value, which we have been using all throughout, I'll use upload percentage, right? Now what this does is, this will automatically keep updating as and when the file is getting uploaded. Got it? You can also change the progress bar color from here and so on and so forth. You can also do some fine tuning of the properties of this particular element. So now it is 0%. I'll click on upload a file. And let's say I upload this particular video, right? You can see that this will keep moving 0.21%, 0.64%, 1.25, and so on and so forth. So you can actually show the user how much percentage of a file is getting uploaded, right? Have you seen this happening on many of the portals? When you upload a file, it shows how much percentage it has uploaded. Have you seen this before? Yes, no? Who is that drawing? Okay, let me share again. Yeah, is this clear, everyone? How to use the progress bar? Okay, let's move on. This couple of plugins that we saw just now were very simple, right? We will see one more very simple plugin, which is called multi-select dropdown. So I'll click on install. And if you see, again, we have element only, and that is called multi dropdown. So if we go here, we can have multi dropdown. Now let me also add a dropdown along with this, because I want to showcase to you what is the difference between a normal dropdown that we had before and multi-select dropdown. I mean, name is sufficient for us to understand, but still. Okay. Now I'll put the same data type. Let's say dynamic. We will use user. We will do not current users, but do a search for user without any constraints. I'll leave it, and current options name. So I'll copy the same data here. I'll make this as dynamic. I'll select users. And this is also search for users. Option caption is current user's name. Now, when we go to the preview mode, right? Coming back here. So we have selected the name, and that's why we are able to see only the users who have filled their name. Rest of them is being shown blank. That's fine. But here, the point is we can select only one user. Whereas in multi-select dropdown, right, I can select multiple. So I can select this user, I can select this user, I can select this user, right? And if I have wrongly selected anything, I can also remove this. Okay. This was previously not possible within Bubble. Yeah. So you install a plugin to get a functionality like this. Now you also have a option where you can say what are the maximum items they can select. So for example, if I give this as 2, then I can select only up to 2 items. So 1, 2. If I go to select other option, then it will show please select fewer items. Yeah. Is this clear, everyone? Are you all ready to see some slightly complex plugins? Yes. Okay. Let's go with full calendar. Okay. It will allow us to show the entire calendar. Let's see how this works. Clicking on install. Okay. And here we have two things. One, element, and two, events. Right? So if we go to workflows, then this, whatever we add here are events. For example, this event is button show alert is clicked. So button show alert is clicked is an event. Like that, we have two events available with this particular plugin, and it is called a calendar's event is clicked, a calendar's day is clicked. Okay. So let's quickly check how this entire thing works. So we have got calendar. I'm going to put that over here. Where did this get added? It has come out of the group, adding it inside. Okay, let it be on the top. That's fine. So entire calendar is being shown, right? We have not designed anything. It's all coming by itself. Now, type of events. Okay, again, let's go with the user registrations itself. Okay, so I'm going to click on user. Data source is, let me just go over here, copy this, come over here. Put this. Just that we don't have to group them here. We can remove it. Okay. Time start field, creation date, end time field. We don't need it, hopefully. Okay, let's see. Event caption is 1 minute. Valid list of users. Oh, this is. Let's quickly check document. So if there is any plugin that you don't understand how it works, okay, there should be some documentation or some live application where this has got used. Okay, so you can go here. Type of event is fine. Data source. This is a list of things that should be displayed by the calendar element. Typically, it is a result from a search, right? So that's what we have done here, but it didn't work. User. Just try grouping. Creation date. Day. Okay, let's use the same thing. Paste. Okay, so this works. Okay, and current events count. Okay, so let's quickly go to the preview mode. And if we go back to March, we can see that 84 registrations happened on 5th, 16 on 10th, 9 on 24th, and 11 on 28th. Now, when we click on this one, we can add some action. That is, let's say, these are events. Okay. So if I go here and search for calendar elements, a calendar event is clicked. Okay. So how did I understand that? In the plugin section, they have mentioned what are the events available. So calendars event is clicked is an event. And so I use that, and I will use air alert to showcase something from there. Right. So this calendar's current events count. Total registration on. I can also put this calendar, current events, creation date, formatted as. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm basically using the inbuilt event function. Okay. So I'm going back to March. What happened now? Huh. Yeah. So click on this one. You can see total registrations on March 5th, 2025 is 84. Are you getting it, everyone? So if you're building a, let's say, uh, task management application, right? You can show the number of tasks they have got on a particular date. Okay. If you're building a meeting application, you can show the number of meetings that they have got on a particular day, right? So you can play around with this entire calendar. So month, you also have week, you also have day, right? All of this without you having to build it. The entire design is available with that particular plugin, right? So I can go to some other the thing here, and let's say I click on this today. It'll take me back to today's date, right? All of that functionality is added within this plugin. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow? Can we move on? So add plugins. Let's see what other plugins can we explore. We can check out this rich text editor as well. I'll install this. Okay, as you can see, we have one element which is rich text input. We have an event which is a rich text input value changes. We have action which is reset a rich text input or set focus to a rich text input. Okay, so let's see how this works. So we have an element which is rich text input. I'm going to add that on the top of this particular group. Okay, I'm going to expand the width. So it expands to the entire width of the page. Okay, and what this basically does is, if you recall, we have seen multiple input fields. Okay, one was input field, which was a single line input field, and we also had seen multi-line input field. Do you all recall that? Type in +2 in the chat box if you recall. Yeah. So in this particular case, it's like a multi-line input box, but with formatting options, right? So I can highlight a particular thing. I can underline it, right? I can also change the font color from here. Okay, you can see that. In the single line or multi-line input box that we had seen previously, you could change the properties of the entire box, right? Let me show you that as well. Let's go with multi-line itself. I'm going to add a multi-line input box over here. Okay. And we didn't have the option to change specific word in that particular here, right? So I cannot select a particular word and then make it bold or anything. If I want to make it bold, then I have to make the entire box itself as bold, right? So whatever I type will become bold. But in the rich text editor, you can actually select particular word and format it, right? Not just that, you can also insert images. Is this working? No. Yeah, so we can actually insert images. Yeah, I can also format whether this has to be big, small, like I can format the size of this particular image. Yeah, we can also include videos. Okay, we can embed the URL from here. So if we go to YouTube, copy the URL, come back, add, and save. Right, you can see the YouTube video added over here. You can make all the formattings like remove intent or add intent, right? Text alignment, numbering system, bullet list, header 1, header 2, all the formatting that you can think of. Everything is available. Yeah. Now, you also have an option over here to control how much of style complexity can be given, right? Whether it should be full. Full means you have all the options available. Okay. If you make it as medium, then some of the options will be removed. Like for example, image adding and video adding and all is removed from here. If you make it as basic, then you have very basic options like bold, italic, adding a link, alignment, H1, H2. Got this? There were a couple of actions available with this particular plugin. So let's quickly check that. Okay. Now, let's say you have typed in something. Okay. Now you want to reset that. Maybe you are saving it in the database and then you want to reset, or you want to give them a reset option itself. So what we will do is we will add a button, right, which can be like reset. And the way you reset this particular field is search for reset, and you have reset a rich text input, right? And because we have just one rich text input available in the page, it will auto select. And we also have one more action, which is set focus. So once it is reset, we can set the focus back to the rich text input, right? So basically what happens is, if I type in something, click on reset, it will reset the entire box. Okay. Getting it? Is this clear, everyone? Okay. I'll give 5 minutes for you to let me know if you have any questions with regards to plugins. Do you have any questions? Because we will be moving to styles. But before we move to styles, I would like to ask if anybody has any questions. What's the use case of rich text editor? If you want somebody to write blogs for you, then you can allow them to write blogs, because here you cannot format, right? Multi-line input box, you cannot allow them formatting. But with the rich text editor, you can actually allow the users to format the text that they're giving in, right? So you can use it for that. You can use it for a review system, where let's assume that I've submitted something and I want to give a review along with screenshots and all, right? So that's not possible in the multi-line input box. So with rich text editor, I can allow the reviewer to input images, take screenshots, add that screenshot. I mean, not take screenshot, but after user takes the screenshot, they can add it in the input field. Is that clear? Any other questions from anybody? If no more questions, can we move on to styles? Okay, just give me a minute. There is one question from Saket. All plugins, like if there are some updates, does the updation happen automatically or we have to do it manually? Okay, good question. Very good question. So if you go to plugin section, right, then you will see the versions from here. Okay. So when you install the plugin, you will always have the latest version of the plugin available at the point of your installation. But after you install, if there is any updates that is available, then it will not automatically update. Okay, but it will be shown to you over here that there is some updates available. So for example, if we go to let's say this mate, we have added plugins on this for a very long time. If we go to plugins, right, you can see here, can upgrade, can upgrade, can upgrade, right? Calendar tool can upgrade. If we go here, okay, you can actually see that the version installed is 1.6.0, whereas they have gone all the way until 1.11.0. Getting it? Okay. So if there is updates, then it will show you over here that you can upgrade. The reason why they did not do auto update is because each version can be very different. Okay. And if they auto upgrade, your app might stop working because they have done some updates which you have not implemented in your application. Right. So it is left to you to decide whether you want to update it or not. Is that clear? I don't know who keeps doing this lines and all. Can we move on to styles? Everyone ready? Type in today in the chat box, everyone. I see the energy has dropped off now. Come on, come on, come on. Good. Okay. Let's move on to styles. Before we get into styles, can anybody guess what styles could be? From the name, can you guess like what styles could be? Anybody? Okay, no worries. Now, before we begin, yeah, somebody is making components look attractive. Okay, good. Styling of the bubble pages. Okay, how an element should appear. Okay, so basically all three of you are correct. Right? Hari Krishna came the closest, right? Which is how an element should appear. Yeah. And the beauty of styling is, let's say, for example, I'll create a new page so that we can play around with it. And I'll call this as styles. Okay. And let me add button element. Okay. You can see that it is linked to a style which is filled light primary. And I'll call this as button one. I'll add a couple of more buttons. Ideally should have, like, you can add it on the same page or different pages, doesn't matter. Button two. Let's go. That's button three. Now all of this is linked to a particular style. Okay. I'll click on edit style. It will take me to the style section of that particular button. And if I change the color of this particular button, okay, let's say I'll go to this particular color. Didn't get selected. This particular color. Okay. What I've done is I've told this particular style, okay, the background color is changed from blue to, I don't know what is this color called, burgundy or maybe orangish, brownish, mix of all of. Yeah. Wherever button were linked to that particular style, okay, it will get updated. Even if you go to the plugins page, this particular button was blue. Do you all recall? Kakajan, yes, you are right. It's more like a reusable thing. Yeah. So this also got changed from blue to this color. Wherever on the application we have used it. You see here, first day we used it. This has got changed. So styling allows you to create consistency across your application. Getting it? Let's say you change your brand colors tomorrow. Yeah. You change your application styling. Okay. So what you can do is you can come to styles and you can change how the button should look like. Right. And wherever we have used that particular button with that particular colors, that will automatically get updated. So for example, we have an info alert box, which we just saw when we got started. Okay, and this was with blue color, whereas success is green color, warning is red color, right? We might also want to have a alert box with error. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll click on alert. I'll add a alert box. Now by default it is success. What I'll do is I'll click on create a new style. I'll call this as error. Okay, click on create. And now we can change whatever we want for this particular element. Let's see, we will make it as red. So one thing is, if you make the changes over here, okay, then it will show error overridden, which means you have taken the style of error. You have used the style as error, but then you have made some changes. Okay. Rather, if we go to edit style and do it from here, then it will update for all the elements which is using this, right? So I'll make this as center. I'll make this as center, and we will also make the background color as, let's say, red, right? With font color being okay. When we make it as red, we'll make it as 25%. So it becomes like this, whereas the font is fully red. Spacing will be. Okay. Now when I do this, nothing. I'll go back to this particular element and I'll change this to error. Yeah. So wherever I'm using error as an alert box, it will automatically use this. So if I go to plugin section again, I think I deleted that alert box that I added. Yeah, we did that. But if you can use it now anywhere. Once you create a style, you can use it across the application. Is this clear, everyone? Did you understand why we use styling? And this can be created for all the element types. You can do it for search box, you can do it for button, you can do it for checkbox, right? Date and time, all the element types, there will be styling available. You can either use the default one which is available, okay, or you can create your own style. You can also create a style from here, right? Let's say we want to create a primary button. The element style is for button. Click on that. So it will give us some default option. Where is this primary button? Right. And then from here, we can change it. Right. So I can change what is the icon size that I want, which is here. Icon color, I can change. I can change the font of the button. Okay. All of that I can set over here. Let's say, for example, I'll go to greenish, right, and keep it. Now, if I go to any particular button, if I go to styles, and if I go to this particular button and change this from filled light primary to the primary button that I created, the properties of this button will change. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow? Can I save a specific style for an element and reuse it elsewhere without creating a global style? What do you mean by save? Where will you save? If you want to save the style, then you have to save it over here itself. Aniket, do you want to unmute and ask your question? Let me enable that. Yeah. Basically, can I use the same style in other apps also? Okay. No. Right. So if you create a style in one of the applications, then you can use it there itself. Okay. You can, however, make a copy of your application so that the styles are also copied. Right. They had come up with some option to export the style and import the styles. Maybe they have not added yet. It doesn't look like. You can make a copy of your application so the styles are also getting copied. Okay. Now that is element styles that we looked at. And if you want a particular element to be by default, okay. So for example, now light gray primary, filled light primary, right, is the default button style. That means whenever you add a button, it will be defaulted to this particular button. But if you want this one to be the default button, when you click on this particular element, set as default, right? From now on, what will happen is whenever you add a button, it will come with the default button that you added. Okay. So you can make this one. You can also find elements in use, right? Which means you can check where are the places where this particular styled button is used, which is primary button. Okay. We'll come to the app search thing maybe in the future, but because we were dealing with it, I wanted to just quickly show this, right? You can go with, let's say, link target filled light primary and click on find elements in use. You can see that it is used across the application because that was a default thing back then. Yeah. So it is used at 18 different places. You can click on this and it will take you to the place where it is being used. Right. So this one, where is this? Okay. So we use this particular button and then we change the color. And that's why you can see filled light primary, but it is overridden. We have changed the font color, we have changed the background style and all of that. Okay. Ideally, if we override it, it's better that we create one more style out of it. Yeah. So we create one more style and link it wherever we need it that way. Okay. Let's go back to styling. And we also have style variables. Okay. By default, you have one app font. Okay. Which means now we are using Inter. So if you go to any element, you can see that this is using app font Inter. This is using app font Inter. This is using Inter, right? But if you go to styling and if you change this from Inter to, let's say, Arial. So what you're basically doing is you're telling the app font should be Arial. Right? Now everywhere Arial is being used. Yeah. Unless until you have changed from here. Okay. If this was the app font, then whatever was the app font, that will be selected. Okay, you can also create font variables from here. Let's say second font. You want to use some second font, then you can create that and you can see what is your second font. Right? Open Sans, let's see. Then you can actually go to any of the elements and you can choose the font from here, second font, Open Sans. Okay. Why is this important? Because tomorrow, if you want to change it, right, you don't have to go to element by element and then change it. You can directly go to styles and then make a change over here and that will automatically get selected. So if I change this one from Open Sans to Ubuntu, right, wherever I've used that particular font, right, you can see here, second font Ubuntu. Getting the point? Why is it important for us to create styles? Why is it important for us to use the fonts from here? Okay. Likewise, you can also set the default colors. So for example, when you create a new application, Bubble would give you some default colors added, right? If you remember, we have not added any colors into the application. So whatever color Bubble has used, we have continued using that. Okay. But when it comes to web application, a proper web application development, okay, we will have brand guidelines. Okay, just to show you, let me show you what is our brand guidelines. So this is our RIT 7 brand guidelines, right? I'll zoom in a bit, right? So we have the logo, right? These are the logo combinations. Okay, color combinations, you can see the primary color is this one, 434343, or hex 2B2B2B. And then we have the secondary color, which is 0462CB. And the third color is 0487E3. Right? This is our RIT 7 brand guideline. So if you go to RIT 7 website, it's normally using these colors. Yeah, we're using these colors. Likewise, if you see our Bizmate, which is a portal that we are developing, right? That also has its own brand guidelines. Right, I'll show it to you. So this is our Bizmate brand color. Yeah. So you can see that we have this color, this color, this color combination. This is for lighter mode and this is for the dark mode. Yeah. And we also have a Rubik as our brand font. Right. So I don't have to go to element by element and change all of this. I can just set it in the styles section and automatically it will update across the application. Because a lot of times what happens is client will start the application and then they say, oh, you know what, we have decided to change the color. Okay, can you please change the colors from this to this, this to this, this to this? And then if styles were not there, you have to go page by page, element by element and change every single thing. Right? And you are not even sure if you have missed anything, right? Or by mistake, you have selected something else and so on and so forth. But from here, when you do it, you can be sure that everything gets changed. Okay. Provided you have used the right things, right? What I mean by that is if you go to styles, now I had selected this one with primary button. Okay. Until and unless I keep this style over here, it will stay constant. Okay. if I detach this style, now if I go to the style and make some changes, this will not get reflected. Okay, let's see. So we have a button here, which is primary button. We have this button here, which is not linked to any style now. I have detached the style, right? So I'm going over here and I'm clicking edit style. I'm going to this particular button and let's say I'm going to change this to something like this, right? If I come back to the page, this button got changed, but this didn't, because this is not associated with any style. Okay. But if I link this back to primary button, it will copy the style again. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. Now, there are a couple of best practices that we have to follow. Okay. Whenever the page loads, when we go to any page and we load that particular page, right? What it does is it will firstly download all the styles required for elements. Okay. It will first download all the styles required for elements so that they can associate with those elements. Okay. And that's why it's very, very important that we map a particular style for every element on every single page. Because if we don't have styles mapped, okay, let's say, for example, I make some changes over here and I'll copy paste these two. Now, this also has got a different style, okay, which is primary button overridden. And this is also primary button overridden. Okay. Normally, what it does is it will download two styles. Okay, one meant for this and one meant for this, even though both of them are same. Okay, but if we have it, linked to a particular style which is not overridden, right? Then for this, and this together, it will download one style. And for this and this, it will download one style. And then that style is associated with these buttons. Okay. Therefore, making the page load faster. Okay. So it's not just about the maintainability in the future. If at all we want to change colors and stuff like that, it's also about loading speed. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow along? Do you have any questions? Any questions with regards to plugins or styling or the variables that we spoke about, the color variables, color or font variables, both basically, right? So based on the brand guidelines that I just showed you, right, we can go over here and change it. So primary color, what is it? Primary contrast color, what it is? Text, what is the color? Surface, what is the color? Background, what is the color? If you are destructing something, so for example, when you have delete button, right, and so on and so forth, you can use this destructive colors. Yeah. Likewise, you can have success colors. You can have alert color, and then you can have your own variations of colors. So primary 10, primary 20, primary 30, and so on and so forth. Right? You can see what it is. So this is primary 10. If you go here, they have added some color. This is primary 20. This is primary 30. So for somebody who is designer, right? Somebody who designs, they will understand what is this, right? It will be the same color, but with slight variation. So this is very light shade of blue. This is slightly darker than this, right? And so on and so forth. This is the darkest mode in this particular color. Likewise, we have the secondary color from 10 to 80, right? We have the same thing for destruction, okay, destructive colors, right? And so on and so forth. If you want to change this, you can change this over here. And wherever we have used it in the application, that will get reflected. How many of you have done HTML, CSS coding? Type in me in the chat box if you have done it. HTML, CSS coding. Have you done? So you know that you create variables and parameters like style thing and all, right? Yeah. And then you use that style for elements so that it carries those style guidelines that you have set. Same concept. Just that you don't have to code. You just go over here and create styles from here and then reuse it wherever needed. Does that make sense? Okay. So creating a style and then associating the style for each of the button is like creating styles separately and linking that style to elements. Okay. And if you're making any changes over here, I believe even in HTML, you have an option where you can set the style along with the parameter itself, along with the element itself, right? You don't have to always create a style and then associate. You can also tell if the button needs to be with bold font or with border and so on and so forth at the element level itself. Correct? Yeah. So if you detach the style and map it over here, that's equivalent to not creating a style, but adding the what is it properties along with the button or any element that we are talking about. Yeah. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to relate to your HTML coding and what is happening in Bubble? Is it relatable? Type in R in the chat box if you are able to relate it. How many of you are enjoying the process of learning Bubble? Type in me in the chat box. Kind of interesting. Okay. Nice. That's great. Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask the questions. We are done with the session for today. Do we need to upgrade our Bubble plan to explore backend workflows? No. So what you can do is those of you who have what is it submitted the assignment, okay, they will get access to backend workflow also, right? We will enable the plan on your app so that you can access backend workflows as well. Okay, so please do submit your assignment so that we can also enable backend workflows for your application, and then you can practice it. Any other questions from anybody? No, it will work only for that app. Okay, whatever app we enable, only there it will work. Do you go live every day? Uh, I didn't get that question, Kakajan. What is that? Go live as in send the application to live, or are you talking about YouTube live? Any other questions from anybody? YouTube live? No, no, no. So we don't go live every day, but we we post videos on a daily basis, right? So those of you who have been following us, you should be able to see some new content every single day, right? We are covering AI tools these days. Most of it are specific for students. So if you have still not, what to say, subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and do it because we are covering topics which are specific for students now, right? Uh, there was a tool which we explored for study purpose. There is a tool which helped us with translation. There is a tool which helped us with research, right? So assignment needs to be submitted hopefully by today. Yeah. I told that you need to submit the assignment before today's session. But if you have still not done, please do it by now. Do it by today. Yeah. So there's also a video that we have created for preparing presentation. We have created a video for creating your CV. Okay. We have also created a video on making notes, right? So there are a lot of tools, AI tools, which we have explored and made videos on, which will help for your studies. And all of these are free to use. Okay, at least to begin with. So, Kakajan, I hope I've answered your question. Any other questions from anybody? How many of you are actually following us on YouTube and find this videos helpful? Type in me. Anybody who watches these videos regularly? Sometimes. Say Sari Krishna. Anybody else? No one? Okay. You're probably missing on something very valuable for you. Yeah. Because we've got a lot of feedback from students from other colleges, right? In fact, there are a couple of students from your own college who are helping us with this thing, right? And they tell that their friends are loving it. Okay, so if you have still not watched the videos, please go ahead and watch it, and you can share the feedback. Okay. Anyways, if there are no more questions, thank you everyone for joining in, and we'll meet during the next session. But please do submit your assignments by today. Do not delay it any further. Okay, thank you everyone.